Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, 2 men appear in court in connection to a missing Hull woman, a new photography exhibition celebrating the LGBT community in Hull, and Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn visits the City of Culture. Later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to David Ormsby about celebrating the Ross Tigers' 60th anniversary. And before that, Terry Garnett tells me about the progress of his Wi-Fi campaign. 2 men have appeared in court today in connection with the disappearance of Hull woman Renata Antchak. Majid Mustafa of Beamsley Way, Kingswood, and Robert Lipinski of Emerald Grove were arrested on Friday after new information regarding Miss Antchak's disappearance came to light. Both men now face charges of conspiring to cause grievous bodily harm with intent and conspiracy to administer a noxious substance. The missing persons inquiry to find Renata Antchak continues. Cleethorpes Town lost in the FA Vase final yesterday. The Owls lost 4-0 to South Shields at Wembley. Despite this, the club is holding a civic reception at Cleethorpes Town Hall as we speak to celebrate winning 2 other competitions this season. And Dan will bring you more on that in the Sport Bulletin later in the programme. 3 giant murals depicting Hull's fishing heritage are now on display. They're at the heart of the city's old fishing community, Hessel Road, at various points down the road, including the Halfway Hotel and near the Rawling Way roundabout. Almost a year in the making, they were made after Hull Bullnose Heritage Group secured a stream of money from the City of Culture. The murals were unveiled for the first time on Saturday as part of a 3-day festival marking Hessel Road's heritage and history. Love Your Local Market is a national campaign highlighting the benefits of shopping locally. Last weekend saw the campaign reach Grimsby, where parliamentary candidate Melanie On showed her support for the campaign, as well as sampling what the market had to offer.
Supporting local produce and sustaining your local economy are just some of the factors that Love Your Local Market aims to highlight. The campaign kicked off on May the 17th and has reached Grimsby, where Freeman Street Market is a prime hub for local services in the town. Melanie On, Labour parliamentary candidate for Great Grimsby, has been sampling a treat of the market herself.
Well, I've just been told exactly how I should be making kedgeree with local smoked haddock, so I think I'll have to go back there and get a few more lessons, but I'm really excited to go around and see some of the stall holders as well and see what they've got on offer. And there's lots of activities here for the children, so you know, if people can get down, come and support their local market, then that's what they should be doing.
Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has been in Hull today. The visit comes as Labour announces its culture manifesto in the City of Culture. Earlier today, he toured the fruit market area before holding a rally at Zebedee's Yard later this evening. If Labour wins the upcoming election, they have pledged to set up a £1 billion culture fund. The money will be spent on museums, galleries and theatres across the country to improve buildings and facilities. Speaking ahead of the visit, Mr Corbyn said he's delighted to be launching Labour's hope for a creative future for Hull. Plans for a new 66-foot communication tower in Grimsby have been submitted to North East Lincolnshire Council's planning department by EE. The new tower would help to boost 3G and 4G coverage in the area. The company is hoping to build a tower at a site near Ladysmith Road behind a residential area. The tower is required because the current communications tower is on the tower blocks in the East Marsh, which are due to be demolished. Plans for the new tower have been met with opposition from residents who are concerned that it could damage the value of their homes and their health. Tonight sees the second of our Hot Topic election specials. Constituency by constituency, we question all the candidates willing or able to take part. Here's a preview of tonight's candidates for Cleethorpes and Immingham.
The majority of people on average incomes in this area are certainly not paying more taxes. So I already mentioned the personal allowances, for example. And the reality, of course, is that we are still suffering from the deficit and the crash of 2008 and the appalling mess that the economy was in at that stage.
That edition going out at 8 o'clock this evening. And a reminder that people have until just before midnight to register to vote in this election. If you haven't done so, it's easy. You can do it online. A new exhibition is now on display at Skidby Mill. Entitled Steeple People, East Riding Churches and Associated People, it looks at a selection of churches from across the region and those closely connected with them. Dr. David Marchant, Museums Registrar, explains some of the people involved.
Since we've got Robert Wilberforce, who was related to the famous William Wilberforce, the slavery abolitionist, and he was a vicar at a church at Burton Agnes. So we picked up a bit of his story, and then sometimes it's just people who regularly used particular churches. So Mary Wollstonecraft, who was the noted champion of women's rights in the 18th century, she used to attend Beverley Minster quite a lot. So we just tried to find little snippets to put in alongside the sort of architectural stuff as well. Well, I think what people tend to forget, even if they're not religious, that the church is probably the oldest building in their community. Many of them go back to the medieval period, sometimes they're Victorian. So they are historically very, very interesting, even if you're not, as I say, particularly religious. So there's always something of interest there.
A campaign for Wi-Fi at Hull and East Riding hospitals to allow patients to be better connected has gathered momentum. And those of you interested in international rugby will recognise my guest, Terry Garnett. Tenny, thanks very much for coming in.
Hugh, thanks for having me.
Not talking about rugby, I'm afraid. We're talking about Wi-Fi in the hospital. Yep. Will you share with us just briefly you and your late wife's experience and without the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I mean, I met Beverley at 16 years old. We got married at 22. We've got 2 kids. Everything was going fine. On the 23rd of August, we had the devastating news that she had cancer, pancreatic cancer, which was terminal. And from that date on, she was obviously in and out of hospital. One particular time, she was in for a week. She'd fractured her humerus, and she couldn't get any contact with the outside world. There was no Wi-Fi signal. There was no mobile signal because of the construction of the building. So it was her dying wish. We had a very moving conversation. She wanted me to make a difference, to start a campaign, to see if they can get Wi-Fi in the wards. And I've had a meeting with Chris Long a couple of times. And
sorry, who's Chris Long?
Chris Long is the CEO of the trust, the hospital trust. So I've had a meeting with him a couple of times, and I set up a Just Giving page. And within 2 months, we'd raised just under £10,000.
Well, we'll talk about that campaign first. But just first of all, why was there not Wi-Fi? This was not an ancient building or anything like that.
No, I don't know. I mean, the hospital, Castle Hill, the Queen's Medical Centre, is one of the top cancer places in the north of England. And so it prides itself on being on the cutting edge. Medically and the staff, without a doubt, they're outstanding. But I think the patient care maybe in terms of allowing them connectivity, a basic thing like being able to make a telephone call when you've had some devastating news is something which you'd think you'd get as of right, but unfortunately that's not the case. So as I say, we've started this campaign to try and get Wi-Fi on the wards. Now,
you started the campaign. How long has it been going?
Well, it started, I think it's 4th of April, 3rd of April, so it's not been going that long.
It's 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, we've done incredibly well, and I'd like to thank, obviously, Estuary TV, Radio Humberside for pushing this out there, and all the people that have given their hard-earned money to this cause. And if you look on the Just Giving page, you can see the amount of people that have been affected by cancer, the amount of people that have had the same frustrations of what Beverley and myself had whilst we were undergoing the treatment. So it does resonate with all these people. They have some sort of empathy with this, which is why we've raised quite a substantial amount of money in such a short space of time.
Well, what's the total now as far as you're
So we've got just under £10,000 under the Just Giving page. That's actually closed now. At my wife's funeral, Beverley's funeral, we raised over £1,000. And Vanessa Lucas, one of Beverley's colleagues, she's raised £700 odd doing her own sponsored run. And we've got also Ryan Mathy and Sam Omroyd, who you'll remember Sam. He actually was on the X Factor, so they've done some charity work and raised a couple of £1,000, and they've pledged some of that money to go towards the Wi-Fi. So it's incredible that all these people have given their time, their money to go towards this, because I'm so proud of the fact that the trust have agreed to put the Wi-Fi in free of charge. So that means that all the money that we've got now will be spent on Android tablets, iPads, putting computers in, a coffee maker machine, and decorating one of the visitors' rooms, which, to be fair, needs a little bit of paint. The things that patients will enjoy using and will need to use.
This is going to be a better connected hospital than GCHQ, isn't it? Everybody's got tablets and Androids and fantastic Wi-Fi and all that sort of stuff.
I'm just pleased that the ability to be able to contact loved ones is going to happen. It was just so frustrating with my wife and myself. So at least people will not, suffer the same frustrations as what we had.
What will the Wi-Fi network be called?
The Wi-Fi, it's going to be called Beverly's Wi-Fi. So I'm really pleased that, they're going to call it after Beverly, and they'll just give a little sort of story about Beverly and, about her life. So I'm immensely proud about that, and my children are very proud about it as well.
You're clearly a very talented fundraiser. If you've raised that much money in such a short time, in a month and a half, essentially. You say you've closed down the Just Giving page. Is that just because you've got all the money you need to provide the communications equipment?
Well, we gave ourselves a couple of months to raise it, because there's no point in going on indefinitely. It loses momentum, and also that money who's sat in the account is just sat in the account. So we want to be able to take the money out and be able to use it on the things that we should be using it for, rather than just sat there. So we needed to draw a line in the sand, and that's what we've done.
Terry, congratulations. Brilliant campaign. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us the results.
Lovely.
Join me after the break. Dan will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to David Ross about the anniversary celebrations for a historic trawler. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to David Ormsby about anniversary celebrations for the Ross Tiger trawler. Playwright John Godber has been revealed as the first patron of Hull's Dementia Action Alliance. He gave his support to the organisation as Dementia Awareness Week drew to a close last week. The Alliance recently marked 5,000 people in the city having received dementia awareness training. Diana Redburn, lead coordinator for Dementia Academy and Action Alliance, said that significant progress in raising awareness has been made since 2014. People in Hull are being invited to submit photographs of LGBT life in Hull as part of a new photography exhibition. Part of the forthcoming LGBT 50 celebrations, A Moment in Time aims to capture LGBT life in Hull over the past 50 years. LGBT 50 is a celebration of LGBT plus culture across the arts and marks 50 years since homosexuality was decriminalised in the UK. The exhibition itself will feature photographs from both before and after the decriminalisation, highlighting the changes through the decades. People are invited to submit photos by emailing to amomentinhull@prideinhull.co.uk. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the trawler Ross Tiger, moored permanently in Grimsby. I'm joined now by Dave Ormsby of the Grimsby Fishing Heritage Centre to tell me more about the celebrations. Dave, first of all, apologies for getting your name wrong in the first half of the programme.
No bother, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry about that. We seem to have married you to the ship. Ross Tiger, how do you know how a ship is 60 years old? Are we marking the laying down of the keel, the launch, the first commission?
Yeah, well, big clue's a builder's plaque that we've got, 1957. So this is what we're classing as a 60th anniversary year. Although if you do take it from the launch of the ship, that was actually September 56. But of course, when a ship's launched, there's quite a bit to do before she's actually finished and in service.
So that was the year she was first in service, was 57.
Yes.
60 years. Where is she now and what's she doing?
Well, of course, for the last, since 1992-3, she's been a museum ship in Grimsby. So, of course, she attracts people from all over the world to come and discover what Grimsby still today is world famous for. And fish, I think we're still synonymous with fish. It's still recognised by the Fishermen's Mission as the most dangerous peacetime occupation in the UK. And of course, we lost thousands of men just to create a national dish for the UK.
Well, I've done the tour of the Ross Tiger, and it is one of the most fascinating afternoons you'll spend, but you're also aware that those were a tough breed of men who went up to the Arctic Ocean in vessels. She's not big, you know, this is not a cruise liner. Tell me, what was her career?
Well, she was launched in 1956, as we say, then entering service in March 57. And at the time, Grimsby was quite a bit different. The town was celebrating the centenary then of the fish dock, which opened in 1856. And Ross Group at the time was keen to develop a new fleet of trawlers that were regarded as the best. And it gives you an idea of the scale of fishing at the time, when there was around 700 trawlers in Grimsby, and Ross Group said, right, this is going to be a new class of ships, not just a new good one. This was going to be the first of an eventual 12 trawlers to that design. And of course Ross Group had another fleet of larger deep water ships. He had another fleet of smaller North Sea vessels. So it was a huge operation that was happening at Grimsby.
And all the trawlers of this class were named after cats, or feline names.
Well, apart from
tiger.
They sort of ran out of names. I think the last one was the zebra, and somewhere in there was the jackal. So we ended up with a dog and a horse.
I think they asked the school children of the time for their names. And,
That's right.
And there were there was a little bit of biological taxonomical error.
Yes.
How are you going to celebrate the birthday?
Well, I think like a lot of museums, we struggle with resources. But that doesn't mean that we can't really do something with the 60th anniversary of the Ross Tiger. And one of the ways that we'd like to celebrate her 60th years is to get other people involved. And we've been really pleased with responses of people that we've been in contact with, including Estuary TV. There has been talk of a possible documentary into the history of the ship, which would be a wonderful project to work on.
I would absolutely agree. I'll be bidding for that one, yeah.
We've been speaking to Compass FM. They've been very keen to do projects to just get out locally. I mean, I'm sure local people would love to hear. We've all grown up locally with fishing stories and fishing tales, and we are unfortunately at a time where we are losing other generations of fishermen, particularly those that worked on the trawlers during the wars, and a complete different side to the fishing fleet that we've talked about, that we think it's very important to get this recorded for the future.
You talk about those generations of fishermen. One of the wonderful things about the tour of the Ross Tiger is the people who do the touring, who guide you around.
It is. We've been so lucky ever since we opened as a museum. One of the most famous guides was Alf Hodson, who was a former skipper from a big fishing family. But at the beginning of this year, we took on 2 more skippers. So for the first time in our history, we've got 3 former skippers giving tours on there, as well as another gentleman called John Grantham, who's recently retired from a long career in the railways. So we're very geared up to tell the Grimsby story, which is fantastic.
60 years old, is she still seaworthy?
Not far from it. The hull inspections and things have been very positive with the Tiger. So what we're wanting to do, of course, is safeguard her then for the long-term future, because, of course, the older she gets, the more special she becomes. To put to sea again, she'd need quite a bit of work on her engines, beautiful engines built in Lincoln.
We'll have to stop there, Dave, but they knew how to build a ship back in those days, didn't
They did.
Thank you, Dave. Here's Dan with all the sports news.
Hull City have bowed out of the Premier League after a 7-1 thrashing at the hands of Tottenham Hotspur. Head coach Marco Silva made a number of changes, including the addition of some younger faces in the squad. England forward Harry Kane scored a hat-trick for the visitors, with Sam Clucas scoring the only Tigers goal. After the game, Silva praised the fans for their support throughout a tough season and again reiterated that he'll meet with the board this Wednesday to discuss his future.
Big respect, amazing like they support the club, but myself as well, like to support my staff. And the one game we lost 7-1, they wait again for our players, and the manager went in the pitch to say goodbye for them. It's amazing. It's an amazing moment. But of course, it's a moment I need to analyze, to see what is the best way for the club, but for me as well, and don't decide nothing only with the heart, but to think really in that moment.
Elsewhere, Grimsby Town have made their first signing of the close season. They've brought in midfielder Mitch Rose on a free transfer from July the 1st. He spent last year at Newport County, helping them to avoid relegation. He's the younger brother of Spurs and England fullback Danny. Meanwhile, Town record appearance holder John McDermott has been announced as the new manager of Alfreton Town in the last few hours. He takes over the National League North club from the start of next season. He had been director of football at Cleethorpes Town. And speaking of the Owls, they were beaten by South Shields yesterday at Wembley in the final of the FA Vase. The Tyneside club won 4-0 to end the dream run to the final. As you've been hearing from Hugh, the squad are at a civic reception round about now to celebrate their achievements. This year, they've also earned promotion to the Evo Stick League Division 1 after picking up a record 108 points in the Northern Counties East League Premier and also lifted the Lincolnshire FA Senior Trophy. And ahead of next season, the club this morning announced the signing of former Grimsby Town forward Danny North. And back in the Football League, the EFL have confirmed some key dates for next season for both Scunthorpe United and the Mariners. It'll begin over the weekend of Friday the 4th to Sunday the 6th of August and end on the weekend of Saturday the 5th of May. The Checkatrade Trophy is scheduled to begin the week commencing Monday the 28th of August and the first round of the EFL Cup is on the 7th of that month. And a final bit of football news for now. North Ferriby United boss Steve Howsham has begun to assemble his squad for their drop back into the National North. They've re-signed defender Mark Gray and winger Danny Emerton for next season. On to rugby, and Hull FC head coach Lee Radford says he has no complaints over the drubbing that was handed to his side by St Helens on Saturday afternoon. The Black and Whites were comprehensively beaten by 45 points to nil by their opponents, which brought an end to their 5-match unbeaten run. The defeat also saw FC drop down a place to third in the Super League table. Meanwhile, Hull Kingston Rovers head coach Tim Sheens has praised the efforts of his younger players as KR saw off Swinton 42-18 yesterday afternoon. Sheens was forced into using some of his younger players due to some senior absentees, but was pleased with what he saw from them. Ryan Shaw scored his second hat-trick in 3 games, while Jordan Abdul was named man of the match, contributing with 2 tries. The win yesterday consolidated the team's lead at the top of the championship. And that's all for the sport.
That's all for tonight. Thanks, Dan. Well done, the Owls. It is not the winning that counts, it's the taking part. If you agree with that, then contact us, Estuary TV, on Twitter and on Facebook. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 553. Good evening.
Welcome to Estuary TV weather. Tuesday will be dry and often sunny with variable cloud. Feeling warm with a light breeze. Maximum temperature 21 degrees. Wednesday will be sunny and warm with a maximum temperature of 20 degrees.
Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, Humberside Police step up security ahead of Radio 1's big weekend. Witnesses are sought after a fight involving 2 men in Grimsby. And Hull children are firing up their ceramic creativity. And later in tonight's programme, Ken Vincent and Liam Higton tell me about Cleethorpes' defeat at the weekend. And before that, Ted Stanley is here on publishing. Humberside Police have been giving their reaction to the Manchester terror attack, which has claimed 22 lives and injured 59 others. Islamic State have claimed responsibility for the suicide bombing last night at Manchester Arena at an Ariana Grande concert. The Prime Minister, Theresa May, said it's the worst attack ever to hit the north of England. A flag was flown at half-mast at Hull City today, at Hull City Hall, as well as many other municipal buildings across the region, as a mark of respect to the fatalities. The Humberside Police Force has said that they're not aware of any casualties from the Humberside area at this time. Assistant Chief Constable Andy McDyer says there's no imminent threat to the Radio 1 big weekend this Saturday and Sunday.
In relation to the Radio 1 big event this weekend, you will see enhanced security. So when you come to the bus depots where you're going to get on your bus to the event, be prepared to be searched. Please get there early and be aware there'll be an increased security operation in place. Likewise, when you get to the event itself, there'll be searching and an increased police presence. So I can reassure you that we'll do everything we can to ensure this is a safe and enjoyable event for you and your family.
Police are appealing for witnesses after an altercation between two men in Grimsby. The incident happened at around 3:30 on the afternoon of Saturday on Stanley Street. One of the men was treated in hospital for a leg wound. The men, aged 25 and 21, were arrested on suspicion of a fray. They've been released pending further inquiries. Nursery school children in Hull have been firing up their creativity today using clay. It's part of Hull 2017's drive to ensure every child in the city has the opportunity to participate in creative activities and to build a cultural legacy for the city. All of the city's 151 nursery schools, early years settings and children's centres have committed to taking part in the project. Every child will sculpt a clay brick to be fired and used in a huge installation in the city centre later this year.
It's really important that young children are part of the city of culture, and that's something that we were quite concerned about from the beginning, that sometimes very young children get left out of things or things get adapted and maybe it'll work, but we wanted to create a project which was really relevant to them, using a material that they should be familiar with and a material that has loads of potential for them to sort of learn and also develop all sorts of physical skills from. So, you know, by using clay they're developing their hand control, their mark making, so they're starting to learn about pre-writing skills and all those sort of things, as well as being part of what's happening in the city.
We're showing them the clay, we're showing that what a brilliant material it is, but also its different properties. So it's brown when it's wet, as it dries it becomes grey, and when it's fired it becomes red. And we've just shown the different aspects of that, and it's just letting people, the children as well, make something in 3D. Instead of drawing and being on a flat piece of paper, it's good to see children actually do something in 3D and actually make something. Hopefully they're getting the love of art and clay. Hopefully I can pass that on. I love working with clay myself. I've worked with it for nearly 30 years and I'm still learning. You're always learning with clay. It's such an unusual material. It's got so many quirks that you have to respect as you're working with it, but it is a fantastic material. Wherever I go, there's always some really good talent already, and even at this age, we had 2 or 3 this morning that were showing exceptional talent. So they've obviously already got that art in their genes, and they're going to be really good.
A pensioner has been attacked in Hull. The 70-year-old man was using a cash machine on Holderness Road yesterday morning when he was grabbed and threatened by an unknown male. The offender took the victim's white Samsung Galaxy S3 miniphone from his pocket and ran away down Holland Street. The victim was not hurt, but he was left shaken by the incident. 2 beaches on the East Yorkshire coast have been ranked among the best in the country. Withensea and Hornsea have received blue flag status for the 2nd year running after cleanliness and safety were deemed satisfactory by inspectors from Keep Britain Tidy. The quality of the water at both beaches was given a 5-star rating. The Blue Flag Beach Award is widely considered the gold standard for beaches. Organisers of a summer festival in Hull are trying to raise funds before the end of the month. The St Margaret's Welcome Centre on Long Hill Estate needs £4,000 for the Don't Miss the Boat project. It aims to celebrate the area's heritage and bring the community together. A model boat will be built for the community event in July. The Reverend Canon Patricia Wick is hoping to have more involvement with Hull's reign as City of Culture.
I think there is some engagement with the City of Culture, but we would like another project here on Long Hill, locally. So this is why we're making an effort here, because in St Margaret's Welcome Centre here, we're here to serve the community, we're here to work with the community to provide what the community wants. And we need to get outside the building, do things outside so people can actually see us. And so this is an effort to get people of all ages involved with that here. We already have some people who are volunteers with us here in the building, helping with all sorts of different things that we need in the building, but that team needs to grow. But also on the day, with the building, the boat, the refreshments, all the other things that we need to do, the children's games, we would love it if more people would come forward and volunteer, as well as just people who are passing by coming to help build the boat.
I'm joined now by Ted Stanley to tell me about the latest developments in the literary world. Ted, welcome back. Very good to see you. First of all, we better start talking about this year's Hammond House writing competition.
Okay, well, Hammond House, as you know, is a members' organisation that helps local writers get published and earn a living from writing. But we now also have members from all around the world. And the competitions this year, which are going to help get published, include a short story competition, a poetry competition and a script writing competition, which are all international literary awards sponsored by the University Centre at Grimsby and Kenwick Park Estates. So the benefit to writers entering the competitions are, one, there's a £500 first prize for the winner, plus some runner-up prizes.
That's about a year's income for most writers.
Well, that's true, yeah. But more importantly, I think for the writers, is that the top 25, the shortlisted 25 entries, all get published in an anthology.
Well, you've got last year's anthology.
This is last year's anthology, which is Conflict, which was last year's theme. And this is published worldwide, so you can go into a bookshop in a small island off the coast of New Zealand, order the book and it will be delivered to your door.
Excellent.
And it's also available on Amazon and all the usual sites. This year's theme is not Conflict, this year's theme is Eternal. And that can be anything eternal that you want it to be. Eternal nagging, eternal damnation, eternal life. So it's designed to be inspirational rather than restrictive.
I think we got a brief insight into your home life there, Ted.
Well, probably.
For a second. So it's these three categories of scripts, poetry and short stories.
Yeah.
But it's all one competition, as it were? Or
no,
are they
it's three separate competitions.
Three separate competitions.
The theme is the same, Eternal, but they are three separate competitions. The more important one, I think, is a short story contest. That has the £500 prize. And all the competitions will be, the prize will be awarded at an event later in the year where all the winners come up and collect their prizes. And
it'll be the Booker Prize of short stories.
And the book itself is launched at the event, and hopefully it will be televised as well by Estuary as it was last year.
That would be wonderful. If people want to enter the competition, how should they go about it?
They go to the Hammond House website, which is hammondhousepublishing.com. And all the information about the competitions and how to enter is all on the website.
And as we've demonstrated there, people can. It's not just for local people from Grimsby, or anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. We had entries from all 5 continents last year. I say all 5, there are 7 continents, but we had entries from 5 continents last year. And this year we're getting entries in already. The latest one that came in a couple of days ago is from Cairo. So I'm hoping there's some sort of international espionage that Humphrey Bogart could probably play in for that one. I haven't read the story, but we're hoping it's going to be interesting.
We are international, but the work has to be in English.
It does indeed, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, because if it's not, then the judges won't know how to judge it. And who will be judging it, Ted?
Well, we have 2 distinguished judges from the university who are lecturers, but the most important judge, of course, is yourself, who's guest judge this year.
Yeah, right.
And I'm hoping you'll be able to tell people what you're going to be looking for as a judge.
Well, firstly, I'm very much looking forward to reading, because that anthology is wonderful. I read that, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping for the same quality as I saw in that last year. I will be very intolerant of poor grammar and sloppy writing and inefficient, uneconomical writing.
Well, I'm glad I'm not entering.
And there are one or two little things that grind my gears that I'll be. People who muddle up less and fewer.
Right,
People who
okay.
use iconic wrongly.
Right.
These are the things. There will be big red marks for that.
Right, okay.
But I'm looking forward to just a bit of wit,
Yeah.
a bit of elegance, some fascinating, intriguing characters, some unexpected stories, and I'm sure that I'll be getting plenty of
Great, okay.
one quick note on where people can get a bit of help if they want to write.
Well, there's lots of help. At the university, there's the university degree course in creative writing.
10 seconds, Ted, there's a place in Louth.
Place in Louth is the Monday Writers Group, and I'm writing residence at Bournemouth this year, and
Have
we'll
to
be able
stop
to
you there, Ted.
offer this.
Thank you very much. Join me after the break. Fred will bring us a roundup of sports news, and I'll be talking to Ken Vincent and Liam Highton about the Owls' defeat at Wembley. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Fred brings us a roundup of all the latest sports action, and Ken Vincent and Liam Higton tell me about the Owls' defeat at the weekend. Work to strengthen an existing seawall that protects the north end of Withensea is due to start next month. East Riding Council have instructed a local contractor to undertake the project to strengthen and provide stability for the seawall at Seathorne. The works, which will cost just over £1 million, will be along the northern 150-metre length of the frontage and allow for the foundations to be strengthened. It's expected to be complete by the autumn. And West Lindsey District Council has made its first Public Space Protection Order, the PSPO, to clamp down on dog fouling in the district. The council's Licensing and Regulatory Committee agreed to make the PSPO at its meeting on the 27th of April, following 6 weeks of public consultation. The order will come into force on the 5th of June, and it'll affect all land in the West Lindsey district. It requires those in control of a dog to clean up after them properly, or risk being issued with a £75 fixed penalty notice, prosecution or other formal action. The council's keen to engage the public to help them tackle the issue. A new exhibition opens at Estuary Hall and Gardens this weekend. Entitled Beside the Seaside, it's a celebration of the history of Bridlington as a seaside resort over the years. It charts its rise, subsequent decline and recent regeneration. The exhibition has been created by Janice Smith and her team at Estuary Hall and begins with a fashion for taking the waters in the spa town of Bridlington in the 18th century. It also looked towards the future of the town with the redevelopment of land to the north of Hiddlethorpe Road and the proposed extension of the existing harbour with a marina. The exhibition opens on Saturday and runs until the 4th of June. Cleethorpes Town's FA Vase adventure was cut short at the weekend. The Owls lost 4-0 to South Shields at Wembley. And I'm joined now by Ken Vincent and Liam Higton from the club to tell me more. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. Sorry about the result on Sunday, but good God, what a gallant road it was that took you there. How did you feel in the dressing room afterwards, Liam?
Yeah, I mean, the lads were disappointed, obviously, but saying that, it's been a great season. So to get there was just a bonus and a great experience for the club and the team.
I don't want to rub salt in the wounds, but you are the goalkeeper.
Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah.
You weren't having a great day on Sunday.
No, I feel like I did all right personally, and the lads were great as well. It was just one game too far, really.
But you were man of the match. It wasn't as if you weren't doing anything pretty heroic at the net there.
Well, yeah, I made a few good saves, but you know, you win as a team and you lose as a team, and it's one of them. But fair play to South Shields; they're a great team and worthy winners.
Ken, you're the physio for the team.
Yes.
You went down to Wembley as well?
Yes, I had a great day. My 50th year in non-league football, and the lads enabled me to top it off with a visit to Wembley and sit on the sidelines and watch. I can only say has been the icing on the cake for me. We've had a terrific season, and as Igo said, South Shields were a far superior side. Classy, but fully deserved. But I think our purpose was that the whole of the club enjoyed the day out.
Well,
and that was the main thing. And although we were disappointed at the end, we all had a great time. We had a great weekend.
That's very gracious and sporting of you, I must say. You had 4,000 of your supporters down there.
Yes.
Your opposition had a few more than that.
16,000, we understand. The total gate for the day was about 38,900, I think.
So quite a lot of people just came along out of interest.
Yeah, for the two games. And I think the FA are absolutely ecstatic about that, because it outdid the games at Burnley and West Ham and Stoke City and places like that. So they were really pleased, and I think what people did see were two sides at Step 4 level now playing football on the National Stadium. Great for all of them, something that they'll never forget. I will never forget it. And I think that we go away from there, our heads held high, and we look forward to the new season in the Evo Stick South.
Absolutely.
And another season.
I have every confidence that you will return to Wembley, Liam.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Other than that one game, the rest of your season has been extremely successful, and I think we have quite a lot of silver. So if you'd like to lift that one up, Liam. I've got this one here. There we are, don't let it fall over.
No.
You've had a successful season, as this bullion demonstrates. Liam, first of all, what's this one, the smaller one?
What is that one?
That's the League Championship, and that's the Lincolnshire Football Association's County Senior Cup, which is one of the best trophies to win. You get that on your CV as a club, and you're doing all right.
Now that one's significant also because it means that you find yourself going up a level in play.
Yes, it does. Because we've also won the Northern Counties Premier, which is that trophy there on the right-hand side. And with winning that as well, it means that because of the promotion, we get into the senior trophy side of the business, where we'll meet, or could meet, teams like Grimsby Town, Scunthorpe United, Lincoln City, Spalding, Boston United, Boston Town, all those sort of places. And it just lifts the level of the football to a new level. And I think it's something to look forward to.
So there's a possibility of a local derby, Cleethorpes Town and Grimsby Town?
Very much so. Very much so. And if it comes out of the hat like that, then so be it.
And it'll be nothing but polite greetings on the
terraces.
Oh,
absolutely, yes.
And cries of jolly good show, well played.
Yes. But we're really looking forward to it as a club, because the team has broke the record for the Northern Counties in winning the championship, 108 points. Igo himself got 14 clean sheets, which is a tremendous achievement for a goalkeeper at that standard.
Well, that's all you can expect as a goalkeeper, isn't it? Because you're not expected to score goals. That's pure success, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also the facts are that he saved 10 out of 11 penalties this year, which I think is another record for goalkeepers. But I think that the one thing that we do have to say is that the support we've had from the business community, the supporters, and from people who've never seen us play, have come to Bradley and watched us and have gone out the gate saying we're coming back, says everything for us. We're just absolutely delighted, and we can't say a big enough thank you to them all.
I'm going to start calling you Higo now. You're not absolute professional players. You're playing this for the love of it more than anything else, aren't you?
Yeah. Obviously we get a little bit of money, but it don't pay the bills or anything. So yeah, the love of football is what we do it for. The travelling takes its toll on some of the lads. Obviously, they have full-time jobs in the day, and sometimes you've just got to cut them short. Or
well, it's worth it if you come home with these beautiful trophies and these beautiful achievements, and you get to play at Wembley.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
Well done, and sorry about Sunday, but remember, it's only a game.
Absolutely.
Here's Fred. Speaking of that, here's Fred with the sports.
Hull City head coach Marco Silva is in Portugal today to talk over a move to Porto. The City boss helped give them a fighting chance in their fight against Premier League relegation, although they didn't survive. He's under contract until the end of the next season, but reportedly has a break clause upon dropping out of the top flight. He's set to meet with the Tigers owner, the Allen family, tomorrow to discuss his future. Scunthorpe United's David Murphin has signed for Mansfield Town today after being told to find a new club. He signed a 2-year contract with the Nottinghamshire club. He'll be playing in League 2 next season, coming up against Grimsby Town. He's one of 4 players Mansfield have signed today as they look to push on for promotion next time around. And you've been hearing about Cleethorpes Town's exploits this season, and they've made a few new additions for next season today. Former Leeds Academy striker Danny Stimpson has joined the FA Vars finalists. He's spent more recent times with Harrogate Railway and Tadcaster Albion. Ben Taylor has been named as the referee for Hull FC's clash with Leeds Centurions on Friday night. The Black and Whites are looking to bounce back from being nilled by St Helens last weekend. Meanwhile, the club are preparing for life without winger Mahe Fonua. The 24-year-old will return to Australia with his family at the end of the season for personal reasons. FC say he's likely to be announced as a new signing for an NRL club later this week. And finally, Hull Kingston Rovers have announced that they've now sold out their allocation for this weekend's Summer Bash. The Robins will now be backed up by a bumper crowd at Blackpool's Blomfield Road for their game against Bradford on Saturday. And that's all for the sport.
Thank you, Fred, for all that sports news. Very sporty programme today as I peer at you through all the silverware on the table in front of me. That's it, though, for tonight. If you have a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details are below me. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Or you can write to us in the traditional way, Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34. What's DN345BQ? Too late now. I think that's what it is. Until tomorrow, from all of us here, good evening.
Hello there and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Wednesday cloudy with outbreaks of rain, feeling cooler than Tuesday. The rain will persist through much of the day with heavier bursts at times, maximum temperatures of 14 degrees. Sunshine and showers on Thursday, these often becoming heavy and slow moving with a chance of hail and thunder.
Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, vigils in Hull to remember lives lost in Manchester. 2 casualties remain in hospital following a collision in Cottingham, and remembering sporting greats in the City of Culture. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Leanne Rayner and Katie Steele about their fundraising campaign. Before that, Jason Gale tells me about a new awards ceremony celebrating the great and good of Hull. A vigil will be held in Hull's Queen Victoria Square tonight to remember those who were killed in Monday night's terror attack in Manchester. 22 people lost their lives and 59 others were injured at the Ariana Grande concert at Manchester Arena. Another vigil will be in North Bransholme at the War Memorial by the skate park at 6:30 this evening. Candles have been lit as a mark of solidarity at Hull Minster. 3 further arrests have been made in the south of Manchester in connection with the attack today. It follows yesterday's arrest of a 23-year-old man who remains in custody. Tonight's vigil will be in Queen Victoria Square from 6 to 7:30 p.m. 2 people remain in hospital after a car hit a pedestrian in Cottingham. Humberside Police and paramedics from Yorkshire Ambulance Service attended the scene on Hallgate at around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, following reports that an elderly pedestrian had been hit by a car. An eyewitness stated that a car hit someone at the cash machine and went through the front window of the nearby Duffields fruit and veg shop. The police cordoned off the area and confirmed that the driver of the car and the pedestrian were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A significant sum of compensation has been awarded to the family of a retired Scunthorpe steelworker. The out-of-court settlement was awarded to the family of John Johnson, who died in December 2015 from asbestos at the age of 78. The Messingham father of three worked as a pipe fitter at the Appleby Frodingham Steel Company Limited in 1953 and 1969. Mr. Johnson was exposed to toxic asbestos dust during his time working at steelworks and major power stations in the north of England. He started to suffer breathing difficulties several decades later when he was diagnosed with asbestos, an incurable lung illness. Police are appealing for witnesses after a Hull man suffered injuries following an assault. The 45-year-old victim was walking down Drain Bank between Holderness Road and Salthouse Road on Sunday afternoon when he was approached by three men. They assaulted him and stole his mobile phone. He suffered facial injuries and bruising to the chest. A ceremony took place in Hull today to honour 6 local sportspeople from the city. 3 former Hull KR and 3 former Hull FC players will be remembered for their sporting achievements and honoured with centenary plaques. Councillor Mary Glue initiated the centenary plaque scheme and says the plaques continue to honour those who have made a difference to the city. Hull Kingston Rovers chairman Neil Hudgell discusses the 3 Robins remembered, but first Hull FC historian Bill Dalton explains the Black and White's sporting greats.
Starting with a fellow called Harry Taylor, who was Hull's full back from 1898 through to 1911, and not many people realise he was the very first captain of a Great Britain Rugby League team, although in those days it was known as Northern Union. He played 365 games at full back for Hull.
Colin obviously came over from Hull, was a Widnesian. Didn't play for Rovers, had every other position. Started as coach, was the longest serving coach, became general manager, chairman and latterly president, and in between times he was assistant timekeeper, which he always used to chuckle about. So he was a man with a keen sense of humour, hugely respected, a lot of dignity. As an administrator he was ahead of his time, he brought a lot of great success to Hull KR. He was chairman during the time we won the double, won the championship back-to-back.
One of the more obvious choices, although not born in Hull, but taken to Hull at heart, was Billy Batten. He was an immortal, was Billy Batten, and in fact, he was one of the 9 original inductees into the Rugby League Hall of Fame back in 1992, I think they set that up.
And our on-field icon was obviously Roger Millward, another adopted son of Hull from Castleford, best £6,000 the club ever spent. Stayed for 30 odd years as the most successful captain of the club, the only player to ever lift the cup at Wembley for us, and then the most successful coach.
The third nominee was Clive Sullivan. Again, I had the honour of being at the Boulevard, or privilege rather of being at the Boulevard, on the day that, as an unknown trialist, he made his debut and upstaged the other new winger, Wilf Rosenberg, by scoring a hat-trick. I probably saw almost all of Clive's ultimate 250 tries for Hull. Although it could have been a lot more, but he did leave for 7 years and went to the other side of the city. But a great winger. He had the honour of captaining Great Britain 9 times, which is more than any other Hull player. And 250 tries in his career remains a record.
The third one, Flash. I'm a Rovers fan of about 6 generations past, and you find in families that stories get passed down the generations. I never saw Flash play, but I heard a lot about Flash's antics and his generosity and his spirit and his love of the game. and what an entertaining and fun character he was. Again, a great player and a real character on Holderness Road.
And at the event, the outgoing Lord Mayor of the city, Councillor Sean Chatter, announced that they'll produce a plaque for Hull FC rugby hero Johnny Whiteley, MBE, who was at today's event, though that'll only be made upon his passing. The first ever Hull Lifestyle Awards are set to take place next month. They're a celebration of the city and the lifestyle it offers Hallensians and visitors. I'm joined now by Jason Gale to tell me about the inaugural event. Jason, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
First of all, what will the awards be rewarding?
So Hull's obviously a city on the march, so to speak. I think it's a great place, it's a fantastic place, and we're going to be celebrating the best restaurants, the best bars, the best cultural attractions, coffee shops, everything we really do outside of work that make the city great. You're a little bit biased here because you are a Hallensian. Correct. but you have taken these awards around the country and perhaps even internationally as well. How has Hull responded to these awards? Well, we started the awards in London in 2010, so we've been going for quite a long time, and we've been in Bristol, Newcastle, all these great cities, but Hull's been exceptional. We expected to get about 50,000 votes, the same as Newcastle, same as Bristol, but we actually got 96,000 votes from the public, which is just phenomenal. It just shows the passion that Hallensians have got now for their lifestyle. So how does it work? If people want to, if the contestants, as it were, the businesses that are offering this lifestyle, they're nominated by the public? Yeah, we opened for nominations a few months ago now. We invited the public to write in through the website and nominate their favourite restaurants or bars. We got 600 nominations, and we narrowed that down to a short list of about 80 or 90, and then released a short list. And we had 3 weeks of voting, and that's where the 96,000 votes came. And that's to suggest there's a lot of custom for bars, and it's not surprising that there's a lot of custom for bars, is there, in Hull, but bars and restaurants and all these other attractions. Bars and restaurants are not the only categories you have there. No, we sat down last week, I think it was about a week ago, and we talked to a lot of the owners of people like Hull Truck Theatre and the bars and the restaurants and the coffee shops and the fashion boutiques as well. And everybody's seeing the business boom at the moment. Everybody's seeing an increase in revenue, increase in enthusiasm for the business. It's really, really a successful place at the moment, I think. So all these people have voted for all these businesses in their respective categories. When do we get the result? So the results are going to be announced on the 8th of June. We've got a big gala dinner happening at the Cacon Stadium where it will be packed with the great and the good of Hull. And the winners will be announced on the night. So everybody's wondering what's happening. Everybody's wondering if they've won an award or they were an also ran. But the results will be announced that evening. A little bit. Your thunder may be a little bit stolen on the 8th of June. I believe there's something else going on. I don't know. I've heard rumours. Might be something happening there. Anyway, it sounds like a fantastic dinner, and we'll be televising it here on Estuary TV, I think, just before our election coverage. Yeah, is that what's happening on the 8th? Yes, it is. Yes. Estuary TV are going to broadcast it live, which I'm really excited about. So we've got some really interesting people, not just in Hull, but people visiting Hull as well. That'll be there on the evening. So I think it'd be a great programme to watch. I think it's 9 o'clock we'll go live on the evening. Now, lifestyle is terribly important. We sort of all take it for granted, but the reason we make money and go to work and create some wealth is so that we can spend it and enjoy it and have some lovely time. And we spend it on businesses that's how they make their money. So it's a wonderful economic engine for any city, isn't it, to have these wonderful facilities, bars, restaurants, theatres, museums, galleries, boutiques, as you say. How does Hull compare to other cities? I think Hull for a long time, to be honest, and I am from Hull, I think we was behind. I think we were behind, but I think we've definitely caught up now. When I lived in Hull up to about 96, 97, I think there's probably about 3 or 4 decent restaurants. We could have shortlisted 20 to 30 restaurants that are national class, that compete with any other city around the country, and that's just one of the categories. And you're right, it is so important for the economy of the city. You know, if you're trying to attract industry or you're trying to attract business into the city, they want to know the people that come to work for them are going to have a good time. They're going to enjoy themselves. And just visitors as well, not people moving in to be residents of the city, to become Hallensians, a great honour, but visitors as well, as all the people who've come to the City of Culture. Well, I think the perception of Hull's changing, isn't it? You know, I don't live in Hull anymore, and when I talk to people about Hull, a few years ago, it was a little bit of a snigger, and now people have read about us, they've read about what's going on in Hull, and there's a newfound respect for the place, and they go, oh, you have the Deep, you have that, oh, of course, Hull Truck Theatre. It is, as you said at the beginning, a city on the march. Jason, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the ceremonies.
Join me after the break. Dan will have all the latest news from the sports world, and I'll be talking to Leanne Rayner and Katie Steele about raising funds for Grimsby Hospital. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, all the latest sports news courtesy of Dan. And Leanne Rayner and Katie Steele tell me how their sponsored walk will help raise funds for Grimsby Hospital. Links Inspire libraries are set to receive an IT upgrade in a drive to provide improved service for customers with the latest software and online packages. The project will start on Friday at Grimsby Central Library, which will see work to the IT network and replacements of computers. Libraries in Cleethorpes, Waltham and Immingham will also benefit. The upgrade will give customers an improved IT experience, one hopes, which is easy to use and the latest available versions of software. The works are scheduled to be complete by the 19th of June. Pupils from across North Lincolnshire have been learning about playing music. School children from 9 schools took part in a series of workshops led by professional musicians from the Sinfonia Viva Orchestra. Children from schools including St Norbert's Catholic Primary, Winterton's C of E Infants and Enderby Road Infants participated in the Flutter and Fly story and worked with the illustrator Eleanor Meredith. Children also composed their own songs with the musicians, played instruments and conducted, and they also learned how to fly a kite. A special Flutter and Fly concert will be held on the 19th of June when all the pupils will hear and join in with Sinfonia Viva. Hull and Goole amateur actors with disabilities will perform movement, music and voices alongside professional performers at Hull Marina. The collaboration, entitled Casting on Humber Here, involves the Sobriety Project and Castaway Accessible Music Theatre. It'll be directed by Sarah Louise Davis, founder of Hull Theatre Company Park Bench. It's funded by Hull 2017's Creative Communities programme, delivered in partnership with a big lottery fund. The shows are at Hull Marina on the 30th of May and the 1st and 3rd of June at 11 a.m, 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Each show is 40 minutes long. Ms. Davis described it as the most daring and adventurous project the group has attempted. Our group of parents and bouncing babies don't always have to be bouncing, are organising a sponsored walk to raise money for the newborn intensive care unit at Grimsby Hospital. And I'm joined now by Leanne Rayner and Katie Steele to tell me more about it. Both of you, thank you very much for coming in. Sponsored walk raising money for the neonatal unit. Where will the walk be?
It's up in Cleethorpes, starts at the Discovery Centre, down the Meridian line, isn't it? Yeah. We're going up and then back, just with the mums, grandparents, anybody that wants to join in, and obviously the twins.
And well, we'll get to the twins in a minute. When is it, Katie?
It's on Sunday the 4th of June, and we're starting at 3 o'clock at the Discovery Centre, like Leanne said, walking up the line and back again. Just a gentle stroll, just something, you know, that everybody can take part in.
And if you want to take part, then it's really just a matter of turning up on the day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would it be appreciated there's people got sponsorship for it as well?
Sponsors,
sponsored
small
stroll?
donations.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the twins. This is coming out of the fact that you are both mothers of twins.
That's right.
Now, you're also both beneficiaries, or your twins, all 4 of them are beneficiaries of the neonatal unit in Hull. Katie, first of all, why don't you just tell us what happened when you gave birth to your 2?
Well, firstly, my boys was taken to neonatal because they wasn't feeding correctly, and Noah wouldn't maintain his body temperature, so he was on a hot cot, and so both boys was on there for 5 days. So although they was only born sort of 4 weeks and a little bit early, they still needed that extra help, and just the neonatal in Grimsby, there was just absolutely fantastic. So it's a cause really close to both our hearts.
Yeah.
You named one of your sons Noah, presumably because twins come in 2 by 2.
Yes.
What's the other one called, out of interest?
Jude.
Yeah, no
Jude,
connection whatsoever.
Jude and Noah, no.
All right. And Leanne, what was your experience?
My girls were born 11 weeks early. They was very poorly throughout the pregnancy. I'd gone into labour for the 2nd time, and they just decided to deliver them.
What, the second time in the same pregnancy?
The same pregnancy. They stopped the first labour,
right.
and then obviously they couldn't stop it the second time. And they went straight to neonatal. They had all the breathing machine on, everything, and they quickly turned round because of the nurses and everything. They was fantastic.
Giving birth to twins is more, and bearing twins throughout the pregnancy, but giving birth especially is more traumatic for all involved, all three people involved, I suppose.
It's hard work.
I can imagine it is. I won't go into the details of the giving birth, but the pregnancy itself, you must have been massive.
Yeah. We was just talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah, we was.
And I didn't think I was that big until I looked back on photos and, yeah.
Quite big.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable?
Very.
Right.
Yeah. I had more lack of sleep then than I do now.
Yeah.
And then there is, again, without giving details, but there is, most mothers, once they've given birth, would think, what a sense of fantastic relief. I'm glad that's over. I mean, very happy moment. Let's have a cuddle. I'll go and abuse the father later, but for God's sake, let me sleep for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But then you just have to go and do it again immediately afterwards.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes, but both ours were C-sections.
Okay.
So, and obviously, like Leanne's girls was taken pretty much straight away.
Yeah, they was rushed away, yeah.
And although I got cuddles with my boys, I was very poorly afterwards as well. And so I kind of didn't really see the boys for a couple of days, maybe an hour a day. But I just got that cuddled, you know, to get that bonding and things. But it was Daddy that took care of them.
That must have been very tough on you.
Yeah, it really was. But I think at the time I knew that with them being on neonatal, being with the nurses, getting the care that they needed, I couldn't give them at that time because I was so poorly. It was just reassuring to me that they do such a fantastic job that I didn't need to worry about them.
But it's a reminder that the sort of poor design, really, isn't it? That giving birth, even just to single children, is incredibly dangerous for mothers and children, and that it's a neonatal unit like this that saves lives.
Definitely. And the
my,
job that they do.
My girls wouldn't be here without them.
How old are your girls now?
They're coming up 2.
Coming up to 2?
Yeah.
And your boys?
7 months next week.
7 months, so they're still very tiny, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they all healthy and well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah? You have experienced, Katie, of twins before, because you are one yourself.
That's right, I've got a twin sister, yeah.
Now, not identical, though?
No.
Okay, but your daughters are identical.
Yeah.
That's going to be trouble in the future.
Yes, they already are trouble, without a doubt.
That's because, as a former lawyer, you've always got an identity defence. No, mummy, it wasn't me.
Yes,
it must have been the
definitely.
other one.
Yeah.
You can never get to prove beyond reasonable
Yeah,
doubt.
they've just started blaming each other for things as well.
And they're going to impersonate each other.
Yes.
They're going to be in 2 places at once.
Yes.
You've got a lot of fun to come.
I know.
Good luck with the walk. You don't have to have twins to go on for the walk.
No.
You just
Anybody's welcome.
Anybody's welcome.
And can we just say if they could wear an item of purple as well, because that's the neonate's colour.
That's a neonatal colour, is it?
Yeah.
It's the colour for the premature babies, the ribbons and whatnot.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So.
All right. Thank you both very
Thank
much,
you.
and well done for having your litters.
Thank you.
Here's Dan with the sports news.
Hull City midfielder Sean Maloney has been offered a new contract to stay at the KCOM Stadium. He's seen his game time limited in the Premier League this year, but the club have confirmed that they want him to stay. It comes a fortnight after the Scottish international was linked to a move north of the border to Aberdeen. Meanwhile, Alex Bruce heads up a list of players released by the Tigers today. Youngsters Brad Maslen-Jones, Luke Lofts and Johan ter Horst have been told to find new clubs as well. Jonathan Edwards and Harvey Rogers have been offered new contracts. Also at City, head coach Marco Silva is meeting with the club's board today to decide his future. He was reportedly in Portugal yesterday to talk to FC Porto about becoming their new boss, while there's also been supposed interest from a number of other clubs, including Watford and Southampton. Silva helped to give the Tigers a fighting chance while battling relegation this season. He's under contract at City for a further year, but the deal does have a relegation break clause, and we'll bring you any updates when we get them. Scunthorpe United goalkeeper Luke Daniels is on his way out of Glanford Park. Their first choice this season has joined Championship side Brentford. After 2.5 years at the Iron, he signed a 3-year deal in London. Reports today suggest that Grimsby Town's Player of the Year is quitting the club. Danny Andrew is reportedly close to signing for Doncaster Rovers. They were promoted to League One at the end of the season. Andrew scooped a number of awards for his performances at left-back in 2016-17. Rugby now, Hull FC's departing winger Mahe Fanua is targeting a dream finish to his career in the city. He's returning to the NRL at the end of the current campaign, but says he wants to go out on the highest possible note. He confirmed earlier this week that he'll return to Australia for family reasons, and we're expecting his new club to be announced at some point this week. Meanwhile, the RFL have moved to reassure fans visiting the Summer Bash event in Blackpool this weekend in the wake of the Manchester terror attack. They say they're working very closely with the police and will continue to monitor the intelligence picture around the town. They've asked fans to allow for extra time to enter the stadium for bag searches to take place. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Dan. That's all for tonight. If you've a story for us, want to get in touch, then Facebook or Twitter are available. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 3155553. That's all for now. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Early hill fog across the Pennines on Wednesday, but it will gradually disperse, leaving spells of strong sunshine. It will become very warm, although cool sea breezes will eventually develop along the coast, maximum temperatures of 24 degrees. Thursday, very warm and spells of strong sunshine, but overnight mist and sea fog.
Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, hundreds of people in Hull mark the Manchester terror attack, rail disruption across our region in a dispute over drivers, and money for a children's art charity in Barton. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Luke with all the latest news from the City of Culture. And before that, Phil Matheson tells me about the centenary celebrations for J.R.R. Tolkien. Hundreds of people have lined Hull's Queen Victoria Square to remember those who were killed in Monday night's terror attack in Manchester. A minute's silence was held across the country this morning to remember the victims. 8 people have now been arrested after a series of raids across the city and in Wigan, Nuneaton and Warwickshire. Meanwhile, Radio 1's big weekend will still go ahead this weekend. Organisers of the 50,000 Sellout Festival have stated that additional support will be deployed for the 3-day event. There will be airport-style bag and body searches at transport hubs and at the entrances to the venue at Burton Constable Hall. People will not be able to arrive at the event by car or on foot. Instead, they must use one of the official shuttle buses or the park and ride. Visitors are asked not to bring large bags with them, as this will slow down the searches, and they also can't bring their own food or drink except for 500 millilitres of water in bottles with a sealed cap. Assistant Chief Constable of Humberside Police Andy McDyer said the public was unlikely to see any military presence at the event.
When you come to the bus depots where you're going to go on your bus to the event, be prepared to be searched. Please get there early and be aware there'll be an increased security operation in place. Likewise, when you get to the event itself, there'll be searching and an increased police presence. So I can reassure you that we'll do everything we can to ensure this is a safe and enjoyable event for you and your family.
Northern Rail has announced further strike action that will take place next week in a dispute over the driver-only operation of trains. The 24-hour strike will be on the 30th of May, the day after the bank holiday weekend. Northern has announced it will be operating a reduced service and expects all services to be busy. These include the Cleethorpes to Barton, Scarborough to Hull and Sheffield to Hull lines. Northern's Managing Director, Richard Allen, said change needed to be made to the onboard role as the railway is modernised. The RMT union's Mike Cash said that single-driver trains represent a serious safety and accessibility risk short of the guarantee of a second safety-qualified member of staff. Figures released by the RNLI show that 27 people drowned in coastal areas across the north of England in 2016. Now, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution has renewed its advice to combat cold water shock when people fall in the water. Research found that more than half of people thought that they should try to swim immediately after falling in. Instead, the advice is to try to keep calm and float for the first 90 seconds until the effects of cold water shock pass. Professor Mike Tipton from the University of Portsmouth said that gasping, thrashing or swimming hard increase the chances of water entering the lungs and straining the heart. Our special Hot Topic series featuring the parliamentary candidates continues tonight. Constituency by constituency, we question all the candidates willing or able to take part. And tonight I'll be speaking to Nick Dakin, the Labour candidate for Scunthorpe, the only candidate for Scunthorpe willing and able to take part.
If you look at taking public ownership in the railways, that's a very popular policy, and we saw on East Coast Main Line when that was run by a public stake, billions of pounds being paid back to the taxpayer. So this is a good value approach to running our railways, and in a way to get the best value for the taxpayer and to get high performance service as well. So, you know, these are policies that have been tested and are very popular.
Well, it's hardly radical. This is Butskellism, isn't it? This is Rab Butler and Hugh Gaitskell. This is the sort of government that they would look for.
I mean, I think
it's not a radical alternative to what you've got.
Well, I think it's I mean, I would use a language of public ownership and public stake and moving things forward and making sure we've got the planning on our railways and the service on our railways and the payback to the taxpayer on our railways that everybody wants to see. So I think that's very forward-looking. I mean, you can frame it as you did in the language of the past, but you can also frame it in the language of the future.
And of course we did invite all the other candidates for Scunthorpe to that edition, but they couldn't make it. You can see it tonight at 8 p.m. A consultation will open next week on the Cottingham Neighbourhood Plan. The plan, drawn up by Cottingham Parish Council, gives planning guidance on matters such as drainage, shops, cycle paths and housing. It'll be shown on East Yorkshire Council's website and at Cottingham Library. Comments made before July the 3rd will be forwarded to an independent examiner. A local referendum is also expected. This weekend will see Hull taken over by Lindy Hoppers from all over the UK and abroad. It's part of the biggest swing extravaganza in the UK this year, which will see free dance classes across the city centre. The City Hall will be transformed into a vintage ballroom in the evenings, featuring two of the best live swing acts in the world. Bruce Hitchcock explains.
We've got 14 different levels of workshops going on. There's a free public access stream that we have right here, which is going to be free. It's ticketed but free for the general public. I think there's about 700 spaces going for, I think, 12, 13 different workshops over the weekend from our glittering array of international superstar teachers. But we've also got several other streams and things like Lindy Hop and other sort of variations of swing dance like solo jazz, Charleston, Balboa, Shag, which is a dance, and aerials and bits and bobs. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. That's just in the daytimes. We're hoping to get live music on the daytimes as well. And then evenings, it's just sort of party all night in City Hall.
This is actually the 7th. We started off a lot smaller than this though, and moved to the City Hall and the Guildhall a couple of years back, and they've been great at supporting the event and letting us use their venues.
But this is the largest swing dance weekender of its kind in the UK this year. I think without shadow of a doubt, we're pulling off the biggest swing dance weekender and probably one of the biggest in Europe as well. It's traditionally it's an American dance form. Jazz is like America's.
This year marks the centenary of the arrival of J.R.R. Tolkien in East Yorkshire. The author of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, amongst much else, was here during the First World War. Phil Matheson is with me now to tell me more. Phil, welcome. First of all, what was Tolkien doing in Yorkshire? We don't really think of him in this part of the world. We think of him sitting at the bar in the Lamb and Frag on St Giles in Oxford.
That's right. He has obviously Oxford connections. Tolkien signed up in the First World War and went out to France. Unfortunately, he got a bout of trench fever and he was sent back to England to recuperate. Unfortunately for us, he was sent to Hull in East Yorkshire to convalesce. He arrived here in April 1917 and was immediately sent to the Yorkshire coast to a camp there which only offered light duties so that he could get better. He also went to a hospital in Hull, the Brooklands Military Hospital, which is on Cottingham Road and is now Denison House and part of the University of Hull.
Before we go on and see how this part of the world inspired him, how are you celebrating it?
Well, as part of the celebrations, there's an enormous book launch going on Tuesday, June the 6th at Waterstones on Jameson Street, Hull. There's a new Tolkien book coming out this year, the first one in 10 years, and it's celebrating the story of Beren and Luthien, which was one of the very earliest Middle-earth stories, which was inspired by his wife Edith, dancing for him in trees at Roos.
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, but there's the big book launch is in Hull. Just repeat the date, because anybody can just turn up.
Tuesday, June the 6th. They have to book tickets online from Waterstones Hull website or their Facebook page.
And the shop is going to be transformed into Middle-earth.
It is. We're having at least 24 costume players there, so we'll have orcs and elves and hobbits and all sorts. And of course, as highlight of the evening is a talk and book signing by Alan Lee, who has illustrated this book and also is an Oscar winner from the Peter Jackson trilogies of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
He designed them, didn't he? He's the designer of those films.
Yes.
That look, which he also, of course, got from the illustrations of the original books.
That's right.
There's a second event, the Safari.
Yes. And then to follow on from that were District 14 events who run the very successful Hull and Bridlington Comic-Cons, intend to hire a coach and we'll travel from Hull and go up to the university and to Hornsey, down to Withensea and Easington, and eventually end up at Roos, where we will have a look at this wood that inspired Edith to dance and Tolkien to write, and eventually end up at the Roos Institute to celebrate with tea and cakes in the evening, hopefully served by a lot of these said costume players.
If you want to get involved in that, how should you get in touch?
Then basically, if you punch in District 14, that's the word and the numbers, District 14 events onto the internet, it will take you straight to their events page.
Lovely. Now, let's get back to this dancing. How lovely to be in a marriage where you can just get your wife to dance for you. Dance, woman. I like the idea.
Well, the thing was that she followed him up to East Yorkshire in digs, and when he had time off, he obviously used to go walking around Roos, and they discovered this delightful wood that was full of hemlock, and she could dance and sing, and it was a brilliant spring, and she loved to dance there. And Tolkien said her hair was raven jet black and she was so beautiful. And it inspired him. He called her Luthien. She was an elven princess. And then he considered himself Beren, the mortal. And it made such an impact on him. He not only wrote the first draft of the book while he was stationed at Brooklands Military Hospital in Hull, but when they died, he had Luthien put on her gravestone, and when he died, added to it, he put Beren. So he saw the two lovers as Beren and Luthien. It stayed with him all those years.
And this was really the first of his exploration of writing a kind of English mythology, wasn't it? This was the first.
It was very,
of his
very
stories
early, extremely
that
early.
led to the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings, and the Silmarillion, and all of that.
That's right. Well, the Beren and Luthien tale became embedded with the Silmarillion, but now Christopher Tolkien has unbedded it.
We must stop there, Phil. Thank you so much. Could go on for ages. Join me after the break. Dan will bring us the roundup of all the latest sporting action, and our very own Luke brings us all the latest news from Hull 2017. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, a roundup of all the latest sporting action with Dan, and our very own Luke joins me on the sofa with the latest news from the City of Culture. Nearly 200 years after the abolition of slavery, its modern equivalent is the focus at the nation's docks, including Humberside. The Humber Modern Slavery Partnership held its second annual event yesterday to raise awareness of the issue. The group defines modern slavery as transporting people for exploitation using threats, coercion and violence. Andy McDyer, Assistant Chief Constable of Humberside Police, said modern slavery was hard to spot, but the force was building a picture about the practice locally. Public art is to be created at the Chantry Lane underpass in Cartergate in Grimsby. Creative Start asked the public to help choose what sort of art they'd like to see at the underpass. 2 final designs have been approved, one representing Grimsby's architectural heritage, while the other celebrates the town's sporting achievements. Next week, Creative Start will help the public in creating murals at the site. Anyone's welcome to take part, regardless of age or ability. Specialists at the Deep in Hull have successfully bred some spotted lagoon jellyfish. The jellyfish, FIRE, or young, was sent by the Oceanário de Lisboa in Portugal earlier this year. Now the jellyfish have successfully grown to adulthood. They'll be put on display at the Deep's Cool Seas Zone. In the ocean, they swim in small swarms and follow the path of the sun during the day. They descend to the depths at night. A children's charity in Barton will enable a weekly arts club to run thanks to new funding. The money was raised by Health Able through the Health Lottery. The Start charity has received over £27,000, which will ensure that children using the art club can enjoy weekly art sessions and activities held during term time. The grant now ensures that professional artists can lead the club for the next 2 years.
We've been really lucky with some of the help that we've had, because we haven't always had the funding in place. North Lincolnshire Council have provided quite a bit of funding, but we've relied a lot on volunteers, so it means that we can get more professional artists in to work with both of the age groups, and that the volunteers will benefit as well from working with those professional artists. It means that we can run the Arts Award, which is a recognised qualification for the young people that they can put on their CV, and something that they can work towards during the sessions, so that's really good for them as well.
We've done work with like clay, we do a lot of painting, we sometimes do like textiles. Depends.
It's variety. It depends what like artists we have in. If we have like a textiles artist, it'll be based around textiles. If it's like painting, it'll be a paint like teacher coming in.
People come from every secondary school. Like Olivia's from Baysgaff in Barton, but I'm from Belthorpe in Brigg.
Katie, she lives like over the bridge, so she comes over like.
Yeah, she goes to South Hunsley, I think.
When you come here, you get a really good atmosphere. Like everyone's like all talkative and everything. No one's like shy or anything. We all know each other, so.
The children are really creative. They really throw themselves into all the different things that we provide, and as we've got to know the young people, they suggest things that they'd like to do as well, so their confidence is growing and they're really starting to branch out into different activities that they won't have done before.
Now, talking of creatures that follow the sun during the day and descend to the depths at night, I'm joined by our very own Luke Adams to talk about the City of Culture and what's going on this week.
Compliment as always. Happy Thursday,
Happy Thursday, Luke. We should start off with Radio 1's big weekend.
That's right. Well, that's the big event, which is happening, of course, this bank holiday weekend at Burton Constable Hall. 50,000 tickets were sold in less than an hour for the event, which is taking place on Saturday and Sunday.
Katy Perry, Emily Sand, James Arthur, Kasabian.
Yeah, they're on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Kings of Leon, Clean Bandit, Christine and the Queens, Dua Lipa and Little Mix. Gutted I didn't try to bag some tickets for myself now that the full line-up's been announced, because some of my favourite acts will be there at the weekend.
I think everybody who's going already has their tickets, don't they?
They
but
do.
Worth remembering that there is new security. You can't get there by car or on foot. Use the shuttle buses or the park and ride. Don't bring your own food and drink other than a little bottle of water, and that should be sealed before you get there.
And of course, that's in light of the atrocity in Manchester.
Indeed
on
it is,
Monday.
yeah.
So security has been heightened up to ensure that people are safe and secure, but ultimately having a great time as
Absolutely,
well.
and
And it looks like the forecast
fantastic.
will be great. 22 Celsius on Saturday and 20 degrees Celsius on Sunday, according to the weather forecast.
It's going to be sweltering, isn't it? Looking forward to it.
Fingers crossed.
Bit of history in Hull here.
That's right. Later in June, there's going to be the Hull Blitz Trail, which runs from the 20th of June to the 31st of December. People who are interested in taking part in this walk can pick up a map from various points across the city centre, and it will take them on a trail of the Hull Blitz, basically, where thousands of people across the city were part of that during
Yes.
the war.
Well, indeed. The Luftwaffe was not kind to British urban architecture.
True.
So many of our cities are very ugly because of them. It's about 2 miles long, takes about 2 hours.
That's right. Yeah, so that'll be nice on a warm, sunny day, won't it?
And there were 86 raids between 1940 and
Yes,
1945.
1945, yeah, absolutely.
And of course, the bombers came in using the Grimsby Dock Tower as a guide.
Yes.
And that's the reason that's still standing. But lots more history, fascinating history.
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
that'll be a good walk, actually, that, Hugh.
Talking
It'll be
of
very good
walks,
fun.
there's art in the park.
Yes, a bit of a walking theme going on here,
Well, it's
outdoor theme.
very good
Hugh.
for us, especially now the weather's lovely.
29th and 30th of June, Art in the Park, which is one of the 60 projects which has benefited from funding from the Hull 2017 Creative Communities programme. And that will be happening at the end of June, bringing local residents, school children and professional artists together to discover, explore and produce land art in Pickering Park, which is to the east of the city.
And what is land art?
I think that's what this
I think that's what
project's
you
going
find
to be
out if you
all
get along, I
about,
suppose. But it's using materials that are naturally part
That's
of
right,
the,
as it says in my
the
notes
landscape
here,
indeed.
yes. Land art is a genre of sculpture that's created in nature using materials such as soil and rock. And a professional artist will spend a couple of days working with school children from across the city the first couple of weeks in June, and then all that work will come to fruition at the end of the month.
OK, look forward to that. How very intriguing.
Very intriguing.
Bill Bailey's Cabinet of Curiosities.
You went to see him?
Years ago I saw him live, yes. Bill Bailey, Won't You Come Home? But he's curated an exhibition of curiosities.
That's
clearly.
right, yeah.
This is going on at the Maritime Museum, I think.
Yes, that's right. That opens on Saturday.
And runs until Sunday the 10th of September.
So quite a good length of time for people to go see that exhibition. Free entry, which is always good, of course.
And it's based on William Constable's Cabinet of Curiosities, again, at Burton Constable Hall, which seems to be a theme today, which is an 18th century thing that you put lots of strange things together.
Yes.
And this will include a hippo's skull, the largest seed in the world, and a brown bear.
Yes. Yeah, I quite like the sound of the largest seed in the world to see what that actually looks like, but also the hippo skull as well. So lots of curiosities at this exhibition. And again, a theme here with today's City of Culture spot, Hugh. Bill Bailey has worked with school children from across the city to bring this collection together.
Luke, thank you very much. We must stop
See
there,
you
I'm
next
afraid,
week.
because it's Dan's turn to do the sport.
We'll start with the big news today that Marco Silva is set to leave Hull City. The Portuguese head coach has been at the Tigers since January, but has activated the release clause in his contract, which became available when they were relegated from the Premier League. He met with Assam and Ihab Alam at Hallmark Hotel in North Ferriby last night. We're still awaiting official word from the club. He's a reported target for Portuguese giants FC Porto, as well as clubs in England such as Crystal Palace and Watford. Silva spent just 139 days at the KCOM Stadium. And City will be joining Yorkshire rivals Leeds United in the Championship next year, and they're now without a manager as well. Gary Monk has walked away from the club. They say they're deeply disappointed with his decision and reluctantly accept his resignation. Bogle's back. The former Grimsby Town striker will return to Blundell Park for a pre-season friendly in July. His current side, Wigan Athletic, will be in town on Saturday the 29th of the month. Elsewhere, North Ferriby United midfielder Ryan Fallowfield has left. The former Hull youngster has joined Harrogate Town. The North Yorkshire side will be full-time from next year in the National League North. Rugby now, and Nick Rawsthorne could make his first competitive appearance for Hull FC tomorrow night. The centre has been named in Lee Radford's 19-man squad for the clash with the Lee Centurions. The Black and Whites are looking to bounce back from a 45-0 defeat to St Helens last time out. Mark Sneed, Scott Taylor, Gareth Ellis and Mahe Fanua all miss out. Meanwhile, Hull Kingston Rovers will be without Thomas Minns for around 8 weeks, starting with this weekend's Summer Bash. Brad Clavering and Will Oakes are also missing for the game with Bradford Bulls in Blackpool. while Liam Salter is amongst a number of Robins players to be back in Tim Sheen's plans. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Dan. That's it for tonight. If you've anything for us in the communication line, then Facebook or Twitter are below me, as are the email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Thanks very much for watching. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Another dry day with plenty of sunshine and just a little cloud at times, becoming very warm during the afternoon, feeling cooler near coastal areas there with a sea breeze. Maximum temperatures of 27 degrees. Very warm with some sunshine.